Hey everybody, welcome back to the Friday Parts channel. I'm Caleb, and today I'm joined with my dad, Tristan. Are you dealing with a tractor that won't start, dim lights, or a dead battery that keeps dying? Today we're diving into one of the most critical components of your tractor's electrical system, and that's the alternator. We'll show you how to diagnose your alternator's issues, replace it step by step, and some other pro tips to help save you money. Stick around, because Friday Parts has got you covered.
Before we jump into the replacement, let's understand what the alternator actually does. So what the alternator actually does, it's converting the mechanical energy from your engine, and it's spinning the alternator, which becomes your generator, and it's creating the electricity for the things that power your tractor or your car. So anywhere from your lights to your windows, and it's keeping your battery charged. So there's three major components to the electrical system. Your alternator, then you have a regulator, and then you have your battery. And they all have to work in sequence. So your alternator is providing the power, and it's going through your regulator to make sure it's putting out roughly 13, 14 volts. So when your alternator fails, you're running on battery power alone, so it won't last long, and then eventually your tractor or your car will die, which is what's been happening to this tractor.
So how do you know if your alternator is failing? Here are the telltale signs. First, your battery keeps dying even after charging. Secondly, dim or flickering lights, especially whenever you rev the engine. Third, strange noises like grinding or whining from the alternator area. And fourth, your tractor struggles to start or dies while running.
Here's a quick diagnostic tip. Run your multimeter on your battery on the positive terminal and see if it's getting charged. If it's roughly 12 volts, it's not charging. It should be upwards of 13 plus volts. So what we will use here is a power probe versus a multimeter because it's just a lot easier.
Why replace it yourself instead of taking it to a shop? That's because the benefits are huge. Cost savings, because taking it to a shop can run you anywhere from $200 to $400. And if you do it yourself, all you're going to have in it is the cost of the part. Learning your machine will help you understand your tractor's electrical system better and help you become a better operator. And whenever you do it yourself, you have better quality control because you know you're going to do it right and with the parts that you choose. And it has huge convenience because you're not going to be waiting on the shop, and you're going to have your tractor back quicker during your busy season.
All right, for this job on this tractor, it's fairly easy. I used two wrenches here. They're both 12 millimeter. We need the multimeter to make sure we're testing our charging system and that we have our new alternator ready to go, which we got from Friday Parts, nice quality alternator. And we're replacing one of the old ones there with the new one. So what we're using here is a power probe. We'll check what the charge is. We hook the negative to the ground, positive to the positive, which shows us we have power. We're not hooked up to anything, so we're showing 0 volts, but as soon as we touch to the positive, we have 12.3 volts. So we know the battery's good because we did charge it and it's holding a charge, but when you use the tractor, after a while it cuts off and drains the battery. So that leads us to the problem with the alternator and the charging system.
And before working on any of your equipment, always to make sure you engage your parking brake and make sure you're on a flat level surface. Also make sure to wear your personal protective equipment and safety glasses.
So now we're going to check the charging system. The tractor has to be running. So we'll start the tractor and then see what we have up front here going to the positive side of the battery. So you can tell there's nothing going on with the charging system. We have the same voltage that we had before without the tractor running. We rev the tractor up, there's no difference in the voltage, it's not going up, so there's no charge on the system right now. So that means we're going to replace the alternator and fix the problem. So before we start working on the tractor and taking things apart, we want to disconnect the power. We're just going to disconnect the negative or the ground to this from the battery side, which this is only a 1/2 inch wrench, so we're just loosening up the terminal. And make sure the terminal's not touching anything metal because otherwise you could be still grounded. So now we won't have any power to the system. So now the first thing we have to do is locate the alternator on this tractor. That's usually in the front and on the side of the engine block. So We have a panel to remove here that just comes right off, and as we can see, the alternator's right there, easy to access. So we're going to take that off now that we've disconnected the power.
And before you start a project, make sure to take pictures of how it was originally so you can remember where everything goes. You'll thank me later.
So we're going to disconnect the electrical side of this first, and then we'll just take the alternator off. Very simple on this tractor, not much to it. 2 bolts and the belt that drives the alternator, which that's the mechanical side of it. It's run off the engine and a belt. So a quick tip, check your connections before you replace the alternator just to make sure nothing is loose. And some part stores will test the old alternator for you and will tell you if it's bad. So you probably want to do that first before putting on a new alternator. But we know this one's bad. So before putting your new alternator on, make sure you compare it to your old alternator and make sure your mounting points are the same. Your electrical connections are the same. And on this one, you have a smooth end, and then you have the end where the bolt actually bolts into it. So it's got threads in it, and the other side doesn't have threads. Everything here seems to line up, so we're good. So when we're ready to put the new alternator in, it's just the reverse process of when we took it out. So we'll make sure that we get everything lined up in here once we get the alternator in there. And then we want to get the belt lined up as well. And you want to tighten everything by hand first so you don't cross thread your nut or your bolt. And with this tractor and this alternator and this belt, this is a V belt, so there's no belt tensioner on this. You're setting the tension by hand. You don't want to make it too tight, but you don't want it too loose. So, you know, just enough so it's not flopping around in there. So we have it where we want it. And now we'll just go ahead and snug things up before we tighten them all the way. And mind you, it's aluminum, so you don't over tighten the aluminum, otherwise you will strip it out. So we're connecting the alternator back up. These are 2 wires that go to your regulator. So now that we have the alternator on, we're gonna reinstall our electrical connections. You wanna make sure they're tight. And before we do that, we're gonna put a little dielectric grease on our terminals. That will prevent corrosion in the future. So now we're just gonna put the positive on and tighten that and try not to hit anything metal so I don't get zapped, right? So our next step is to start the tractor up and test it. Make sure we're getting around 14 plus volts to the battery. So as our final test, we're gonna run the tractor, turn on all the lights, accessories and everything, make sure nothing's dim. We'll check the voltage as he's doing that to make sure there's not a large voltage drop or anything. If everything checks out and your voltage is good, you've successfully installed your alternator.
Some pro tips: you want to check your belt tension every 100 hours and make sure that's not too tight or too loose. And check your battery and electrical connections annually to make sure they're not corroded and that they're tight. Make sure to keep your old alternator. Many of them can be rebuilt at your local shops, or you can return them to other automotive shops for a cord charge and get your money back.
Another tip, when storing your tractor for the winter, make sure your charging system's up to date, that it's charging good. And one of the things we do here is we take the batteries out of the machines that we're not using, and we have a whole battery rack back there, and we will put them on a trickle charger to keep the battery maintained for the winter.
And there you have it. Now you know how to change your alternator like a pro and save money from those big box shops and do it yourself. If you guys have enjoyed this video or found it helpful, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like these. And leave a comment down below for what videos you'd want to see next. We make sure to answer all of the comments that you leave. Thanks for watching,
and we'll see you next time.